What's up, everybody? This is the colored stamped wall we built last year. The homeowners wanted to extend their backyard to the property line, and we originally suggested a 7-foot wall to get everything perfectly level. But they said 7 feet was way too high and would make their house look like a state penitentiary. We offered a clean 2-tier setup instead, but they insisted just give us the 4-foot wall. Fast forward to this year, and guess who realized their yard still isn't level? So now we're back to build the second tier they said they didn't want. We're dropping in a 48-foot long, 2-foot high tier, plus a 40-foot section standing 3 feet high to finally fix the slope. It's gonna take 2 separate summers to get this yard right, but we're about to lay it down, make it level, and keep it completely prison-free. Crew is ready, let's get to work. First step, we're excavating our footing for the wall. We're using a mini excavator to dig this out because there's a bunch of big boulders buried in this land from their old wall. But this machine don't even struggle. It's eating these rocks for breakfast. Once we get this footing cleared, we're dropping in a 48-foot long, 2-foot high tier, plus another 40-foot section standing 3 feet high to finally fix this slope. The machine is putting in the work, the dirt is moving, and the crew's ready. Let's get it done. Now it's time to set our forms for the footing. We're framing out a massive L-shaped base for our retaining wall. Since this is a tiered retaining wall, we have to make absolutely sure this thing won't move. Ever. We're pulling our string lines tight and bracing these boards like they owe us money so absolutely nothing blows out. We're over-engineering this wooden skeleton so perfectly that an earthquake could roll through the valley and this layout wouldn't even flinch. Zero leaning, zero weak spots, just completely locked in. Now that the rebar is tied and the forms are completely locked in, it's time to bring in the mud. We're running the bogey to haul the concrete today, which means the crew's getting their cardio in. You don't need to be a gym rat when you're pushing wet concrete for a living. We're pouring this footing and focusing purely on getting it dead level, so setting our wall forms on top of it later is an absolute breeze. We aren't going for a beautiful glass finish here. Nobody's eating off this thing. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth, it just has to be perfectly flat. We gave that footing 3 days to cure, and now we're back to set the walls. We're running the Simon's form system for this. They're super easy to lock together and you never have to worry about a blowout. The only issue? They weigh an absolute ton. Hauling these massive steel frame panels around is basically a full-blown bodybuilding session out here in the dirt. We're building walls and chasing the pump. First, we drop the forms in and just roughly aligning the bottom with the chalk line we snapped on the footing. We don't stress the perfection yet. Once we get the whole run set all the way to the back, we come back through with our turnbuckle bracing, crank it down and dial this wall in until it's dead straight. Look at that, straight as the horizon and locked in rock solid. Now it's time to pour the wall. We're firing up the buggy again to haul the mud, dumping it directly onto the plywood platforms, and then it is all hands on deck as we rake and shovel the concrete into the forms. If you have spent any time in this industry, you know exactly what it takes to pour a wall without a concrete pump. It is a grueling, non-stop process of moving heavy material, manually distributing the mix to ensure there are no cold joints or voids, and making sure the concrete settles uniformly around the rebar grid. We are constantly vibrating and agitating the mix to ensure it consolidates properly against the steel panels, leaving a dense structural finish once the forms are stripped. Once we fill everything up, we strike it off to a perfect level with the hand mag. We follow up by hitting the top with a hand edger, creating those sharp, professional look that define a high quality build. After that, we keep our hands off it and let the chemistry take over. We give it a full week to cure and reach the necessary structural strength before we bring the heavy equipment back in to handle the backfill. A week has passed, and it's time for the final act. We strip those heavy steel forms away, and the concrete looks exactly how we planned it, solid, level, and ready for action. But before we bury our hard work completely, we've got to tackle the hidden infrastructure. You can't build a pristine lawn without a reliable irrigation backbone, so we're getting the sprinkler lines dialed in first. We're strategically placing 45-foot heads to cover the long stretches and 15-foot heads to fill in the gaps, ensuring every square inch of the upcoming turf gets consistent coverage. We're checking every connection and fine-tuning the arc of the sprayers now, because once we bury these lines and start hauling in the topsoil, digging back down to fix a leak would be a nightmare. With the irrigation verified, the real transformation begins. We're trucking in high-grade topsoil, dumping, spreading, and grading it until the yard is perfectly sloped and smooth as silk. We are layering the sod in tandem with the dirt delivery, maintaining a steady, efficient rhythm so the grass doesn't sit around drying out on the pallet. Now, normally you'd lay sod in an offset brick pattern to prevent seams from lining up and drying out, but this job is a little different. A friend of the homeowner handled the cutting, and since the pieces are coming in with irregular lengths and widths, the standard offset pattern just isn't in the cards today. Instead, we're adapting to the situation, fitting these pieces together like a puzzle as they come off the stack. We're trimming as we go, keeping the seams tight and ensuring it all lays flush. Even with the irregular cuts, we're making it look uniform, turning a chaotic pile of mismatched sod into a lush green carpet that finally bridges the gap between our tiered retaining wall and the rest of the property. We wrapped up that first section with the irregular sod, and honestly, it came out looking clean. But as soon as we finished, the homeowner saw the results and decided to pivot. He was originally going to put mulch in this last area, but once he saw how good the new lawn looked, he changed his mind on the spot and asked us to sod it instead. Since we're working with a fresh, consistent patch of grass now, we're back to doing it the right way, laying every piece in a perfect offset pattern. It's night and day compared to what we were working with earlier. We're staggering those seams like bricks, ensuring the roots have the best chance to knit together for a seamless finish. It's the perfect way to cap off this job, taking that extra space and turning it into a polished green extension that ties the whole project together. Everything is level, edged, and looking sharp. We're finally done. There you have it. We are finally wrapped up at this property. We've turned a steep, treacherous, boulder-filled slope into a beautiful level backyard oasis. No more struggling to hike down a hillside just to get to his own lawn. Now it's a perfectly flat, soft stretch of grass that's actually built for relaxing. It's a night and day transformation, and it feels great to see the final product all finished up. If you enjoyed following along with this build, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And hey, if you do, consider yourself officially blessed. Also, make sure to follow the Facebook page. It goes a long way in helping us grow and keeps you in the loop on all our upcoming concrete projects. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.